Hello again. I dare say that some viewers will have noticed that Alex Belfield, who runs the immensely popular Voice of Reason YouTube channel, seems to have disappeared. As far as I can make out, there's more than one reason for this. The first is, of course, that YouTube are growing ever stricter as they patrol YouTube channels like the Voice of Reason, and indeed this one. I cannot entirely blame them, because when the Online Harms Bill becomes law in Britain this year, organisations like YouTube, Twitter and Facebook will be under enormous pressure to deny a voice to anybody using their platforms who is either giving inaccurate information or upsetting people. Seriously, this is what's coming soon to Britain. I think that YouTube, for one, feels that it might as well rid itself of the more troublesome elements while the law is still being tweaked before being passed by Parliament, in order to show that they are really trying to clean up their house by themselves and don't need all those harsh sanctions with which they are being threatened. In any case, let's face it, I don't have a right to have anybody publish or communicate my views to others. The people who publish my books are not obliged to do so, and no telephone company is bound to provide me with a service so that I can communicate with other people. These are mutual agreements which either side can terminate at any time, so really what I'm doing on YouTube is just the same as that. As far as Alex Belfield is concerned, I think there might be a bit more to it though than just YouTube being awful. I understand that he's now launching himself as a live entertainer or comedian with a sharp political edge. Then too, he is, I think, starting a video service for which viewers will be expected to pay. It also seems to be the case, of course, that there is some legal problem because the police have become mixed up with Alex Belfield and some of the stuff which he has said about various people. In short, it might be argued that he's making personal attacks and using YouTube as a platform to do so. I don't say that I agree with seeing the matter in this way, merely that it is one interpretation of what's been going on. I am a little dubious generally about the idea of charging people to hear the views and opinions of YouTubers. It seems to me to go against what I see as the great advantage of YouTube, which is that I can talk directly to an audience, saying pretty much what I want, and they can, if they wish, see and hear me for nothing. This is very different, of course, from traditional commercial publishing, where contracts have to be signed and those reading what is said have to pay for the privilege. I'm bound to say that the opinions which I express here are a lot more open and honest than anything which I've been able to say in any of my newspaper articles and books. This has a charm all of its own, and I think that making people pay to hear me would alter that rather, and I think it would be a bit much too, quite honestly. I'm happy for others to do so, and I make no criticism, but it's not for me. I see, for example, that David Starkey is asking people to sign up so that they can become pen pals with him via email, which is again not something I could readily imagine doing. Of course, a stand-up act in a theatre is a different kettle of fish entirely, and I'm pleased that Alex Belfield has managed to get something like that going. He's a great extrovert, and I have an idea he will do very well on a stage in front of a live audience. I can't imagine that I would be able to fill any kind of venue just standing up and quietly talking about things, but that is because my personality is very different from Alex's. I have an idea that after the first few minutes of hearing me drone on about something, the audience would begin muttering things like, well, he's not very entertaining, before leaving their seats and demanding their money back at the ticket office. I will be curious to see how things turn out for Alex Belfield, who I do watch from time to time. I find him enormously entertaining, and I envy men like him who have apparently not a vestige of self-consciousness. I've got an idea that all such people will eventually end up leaving YouTube, probably this year, until it becomes no more than a grey, characterless reflection of the conventional news media, stripped of all individuality and heterodox opinions, with nothing that might offend even the most delicate of maiden aunts.